But enough about new games from big companies. Let's go to maybe some Kickstarter Pickstarter.
Yeah, some small indie people who don't have these massive backing powers, like Cryptozoic, who uses Kickstarter.
Sorry, the way you said that, though, I just imagined, because we were just talking about superheroes, like, with their massive backing powers.
Oh, they've got some superpowers. We got a bunch here, and the first one you're going to. Well, you're going to sit down. Yeah. You're going to stay seated.
This one is called Rise Up. It is actually all about the idea of like how civil movements and stuff, trying to move an idea forward. And it's really interesting. The way it works is you actually all choose like, something to rally behind, whether it's something serious like, wage gaps and things like that.
So, or is something given to you in the game?
As far as I can know, you just make it up.
Okay.
Or, like, they gave two, like, one very serious, like, wage gap or something. I can't remember the two official ones. Or one could be, like, dinosaur marriage rights. I don't know. Like,
that's a serious issue to me.
They let you choose, which I do think is a good thing, because there are a lot of things that I think for serious, or if you want to be more silly and not feel. But then you play cards, and that's the idea. You have to, like, make sure you keep followers, while at the same time there's actually, like, I forget what they call it, like, the 1% in an equivalent structure deck, which will be like, bad-mouthing you or something, which will lower your points. So the goal is you're working together to keep this movement to get enough people to follow you.
That's a really interesting concept.
Now, the board, and the other cool thing is the board has two sides. One is a much more complex one, which would be better for like, a more board gamer group, or maybe if you want to do more of like a serious topic, I definitely suggest using this side, where there's like social media, like the city, like more like targeting of different areas.
Okay.
On the other side, it's a more simplified version if you like for family or children and stuff. So I really think they put in a lot of awesome work and a lot of cool cards, and that makes sense. Like I said, like the bad or the good ones are like do a protest, write a song, like things like that. And I think it's considering also where we are now, and I'm surprised it took so long to have a really well-crafted game like this. Like we've talked about a lot of political, but that are presidential, but not ones that touch on maybe the stuff that may be a bit more uncomfortable. But this game does it in a way that, like I said, you can do Tyrannosaurus Manager. Like, you don't have to if you need to.
You could even, like, it could be for things that are objectively terrible.
Oh, God. Now, of course.
But it's not, they don't discriminate. It's like, we're taking no responsibility for this. Put this in your hands. We want you to use it for good, not evil. But, that sounds, that's fascinating. I like games like, kind of like, And Then We Held Hands, or similar things, where they're more of these kind of new age movement themes.
I can see what you're saying, but one of the things I like about this one is I still think it holds the gaming. Like, it's very still gamey to me.
Okay.
Like, the one thing I would love for them to see from this is, because, like I said, there's a deck that represents the back. This could be perfect for a 1v style. Like, I actually know there was, our friend of ours told us about one. I think it's called Underdog. It's an RPG, which in essence is supposed to represent, like, the colonization, and, like, the GM is has all the power, and if you don't follow his rules.
Okay.
I think this game would have a very interesting twist in that kind of style.
Yeah.
But definitely one to check out.
It goes for $49. That's Rise Up. Now, of course, when you rise up, where do you go?
I go up the stairs.
You go Skyward, which is the next game that I'm going to talk about. And this is a card game that the theme of it is sort of like a BioShock Infinite, where they're building a city in the sky, but without all the weird...
Because I was really shocked, because at first you're like, BioShock, and I'm like, oh, so this is going to get violent.
Not political at all, though. Just building a cool city in the sky, colorful kind of theme and artwork. But the gameplay, they said it's inspired more by games like competitive card games like Magic, but it's not really like that kind of head-to-head. You're not playing creatures and stuff like that.
We're not going to war.
Right, but maybe some of those similar strategies, kind of the way of thinking you'll be using. So you're building buildings for your city, and you're trying to become the founder of the city. And whoever builds the 6th building first wins, and you're playing different cards in your turn. They have costs, they have effects and powers. The part of it that I thought was really interesting and different and cool is At the start of the game, one person is the warden, actually at each round, and you draw a certain number of cards from the top of the deck, and then you separate them into piles in any way you want, face up. And then, starting with the player to your left, each person picks one of those piles and
so
gets
it's
those
fact or
cards.
fiction.
Is it?
It's a very strong magic card in which you separate into two piles, and your opponent, or I think you give your opponent separates into two piles. You get to choose. So the whole idea is you have to find a way to make if you really don't want to have this, you got to make the other pile tempting.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Try, and because if you're the warden, you get to split it up, but you don't get to pick first.
Right.
And I believe it goes to 4 players, so there's even more.
No, I definitely think that's a great mechanic to use because that card is one of the reasons it's very fun and interesting because it forces you to really think, how do I divide these piles up? And that sounds perfect for an actual game mechanic to build itself around.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really cool. So if it's something they do in Magic, I'd like to see it in other games too. But this will be a good start. It is called Skyward, and it sounds neat. So check it out. It goes for $19. Next up.
All right, this next one is an RPG based around the, I think it was Korean War.
You're right.
Yes, I totally blanked. It is not based off the TV show. Because also, as I learned, MASH is actually means is an acronym for something. It's not just the name of the show. That's why I was very confused at first. However, it's really cool because you all play as these medics and the mobile ambulance corps. I forget the official.
That's all
but what actually happens, you get sheets with bodies on them, with timers and stuff. So you have to go through surgeries and stuff. So instead of these combat encounters, you have operations.
All right.
And I thought that looked really cool and interesting, considering what you have to go through. And a lot of it is can you survive through this war with your sanity and stuff? So I thought this was a really cool, interesting take of a war RPG that wasn't just, here's a gun,
kill
you're
things. On a very different side of the battlefield.
Yeah, no.
You're all playing support.
Yeah. No, and I really love the idea of this, the operations, because I know we've talked about, we used to love Trauma Center, I think was the name.
Yep.
Think of that with the whole body, and there's actually timers, you might have to be I don't have enough time to do the arm, we're going to lose the arm or something, and then but to focus on the core. So
wow.
I think this is a really interesting, different take on a regular war.
Operation for the new generation.
It's Operation. I think it's like taking Operation and be we can make that more gamier.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, that sounds crazy. I like your political, socially conscious picks for today. It's very good.
Thank Kickstarter for giving us good ones.
Thanks, Kickstarter. So MASH, you can get $10 for the digital.
And that's the other. I always love it when. That's the good thing about RPGs.
Yeah.
They're always easy to pick up.
$28 if you want a soft cover version of it, which is cool. So that sounds really very fascinating. If you want a different RPG style.
Now I'm assuming if you failed at the operation, we get your game.
You might end up with a dead cat. So dead cat is, real quick, it's a simple card bluffing/betting game. Now there is another game called Schrodinger's Cats.
So this is.
It is based on the same concept.
I feel like when you mention a dead cat, there's a good chance it's
hard to get away from it. The way this one works is there's a deck, there are live cat cards and dead cat cards, and on your turn you look at the top card of the deck and nobody else can see it, and then you put it face down into a separate pile, and you keep doing that until somebody declares dead cat. And when they declare dead cat, you actually count up the number from the pile that people looked at. Sorry if this is confusing. How many cards you flip them over until you get to a dead one. And beforehand, what I didn't mention is everyone has a die, and you're placing your bets
on how many cards
it will take. And there are multiple, depending on how many players, different numbers of dead cat cards in the deck. So yeah, whoever's closest wins, and that's basically it. And then a new round starts, and it's just first player to 3 rounds wins. Super simple, very light, small game.
I like it.
But yeah, it sounded like a kind of a fun, light filler bluffing game. If you like dead cats.
And I'm definitely a fan of Schrodinger's Cat.
Yeah, it's always good. It goes for $16. And finally, another one that is perhaps, I can't think of a good segue, but it's called Mind.
Yeah. This one is one I found, but I wanted to tell you about because I actually think this is something you'd really like.
Okay.
The way this works is you're pretty much, there's 4 factions: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars.
Okay.
And you're pretty much trying to prove you're the better civilization by getting points in whether it's like war, technology, economy. And it comes with these little miniatures, and they're all sort of different except for like each one has a different commander and a different superpower.
Okay.
And you all get in what you actually buy sets. So you'll buy like the Earth set, and I think these go for about $25 each set. And you can play through them and you play against each other. But the game has both a solo and a competitive. So you can buy the one and play solo until like your friends get one. Which I think is a really awesome thing for considering like a faction-based thing, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, which is appropriate. And for $25, with considering the miniatures in the game, the idea it's more of a civilization and building kind of game. I thought it sounded like something and sci-fi-ish, something really cool that'd definitely be up your alley in particular.
Yeah, no, that is a really interesting idea to have. It's kind of, like we were talking about Star Wars Destiny, how you need to buy 2 sets, except there's no solo version in that. Yeah, and I like the idea of solo only games, even in just to start.
Particular for something that you're like Magic the Gathering, for example, something where you expect someone else to buy their own, not like I bought my game, we'll just play my copy.
Right.
Though of course you can do that. And the other thing that's really cool, this guy, if you bought all of the cases, like they have different pledge levels, obviously, if you buy 1 or buy 2. But I think it's included if you buy all, but if not, you can add this as an add-on. He has this holds all of them case.
Okay.
Right off the bat. So I thought like this hits all the marks that we look for in a Kickstarter. Like a way that you don't, if you buy it, even at the lower levels, you're not doomed if you don't know anyone else who plays it. Variety of games for the factions. Different, but not too far different. So if you get one, you can probably get into the other one.
Right.
And of course, if you go for it all, something that holds them all nicely together. I just feel like it's everything I would want to look in a game like this.
Well, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna look it up. As you said, it's $25 for a faction.
Which I think is, considering you can see behind us what comes with, some miniatures, the cards, the board. I think that's pretty good.
And I know there's another game I saw on Kickstarter called Matter, and I like this one over that one.
Oh, it took me a minute to get that one.
Mind over matter. That's Mind. You can find links to all those Kickstarters in the description below.